No one can overcome this Maya of mine because it is Devashis. Devashis means divine. The nature of Maya is part of my divine retinue. Then no one can overcome that. If we think that we can challenge Maya, then we must be an abject failure in our attempt. She is the supreme goddess of this material world, Durga. Durga, also, another meaning of Durga is prison. So she is not only the prison, but the prison warder also of this material world. And if you see her picture, she's sitting on the back of a tiger and with 10 arms. And in each arm she carries a divine weapon. Jai Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundar ki Jai. Bala. Each of her arms she holds a divine weapon, and what each of those weapons is meant to keep us subjugated in the material world. That is its purpose. But the truth is that she doesn't need to use any of those weapons. If she'll just raise one eyebrow, we'll be completely captivated by her. We will be unable to resist her in any way, and we will be her slave. But Krishna says, no one can cross over her, except unless they surrender to me. Who will be surrendered to me? Then I will tell her, you can leave that person. They are under my jurisdiction. So, it is a fact that we are spiritual living beings in this material world, and we are endowed with consciousness. Often it is described that the Lord is Satchit Ananda. In fact, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means the embodiment of Satchit Ananda. So Sat means reality or eternity, existence, consciousness. So that is Sat. Sat means we are eternal, we are existing eternally. Not just the Lord, but we also existing eternally. And Chit means we are conscious of our existence. As the French philosopher Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. That's how I know that I exist, because I'm conscious of my existence. Sat Chit. Chit means consciousness. And Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. So the Lord is full of Ananda. But we cannot say the same thing. Sat and Chit we can agree. But Anandam, where is Anandam? We are not in a state of Anandam. We are sorely lacking that. But we can conclude, because we are part and parcel of the Lord, that Anandam is our birthright. That's why our Guru Maharaj said, "O you sons of nectar, Amrita Putra, sons of the nectarian ocean sea, listen to me. You were born in nectar. You were meant to taste nectar. Don't allow yourself to settle for anything less than nectar. Search for your fortune. Rise up, search for your fortune. Search for that Ananda. Search for Sri Krishna, reality the beautiful." So what is Ananda and why are we missing that? Ananda means bliss, but not any bliss that you may know from this material world. There's some happiness, blissfulness sometimes we experience here in the material world. We cannot say that it is not so. We have that. When we, the day that our son is born, we feel Ananda, we feel blissfulness. That, the day when we won the lottery, we felt blissfulness. The day when we fell in love with that person who we thought was our soulmate in life, we felt blissfulness. But none of it lasted. None of it stayed. In fact, we can say that in general, what in this material world, what starts as nectar becomes poison later on. This is the very nature of this material world, Don't think that Peter Sutcliffe's mother didn't feel bliss when her baby was born. But who is Peter Sutcliffe? The Yorkshire Ripper. So later on, that feeling of blissfulness turned into something entirely different, didn't it? I can imagine. You can imagine that his mother, she cannot help but love him. But she doesn't feel blissfulness when she thinks about him. She feels abject misery, isn't it? Must be. And it's like anything in this world, right? So, maybe you found that place that serves, that restaurant that serves your favorite dish. And you go there, you take your friends there, you've never had anything like it in your life. And you eat that and you feel satisfaction. But once you're full, if the chef comes then and says, "You are happy?" "Yeah, oh, it was wonderful. Would you like another?" "Oh, no, I couldn't." "Go on. You love it. It's your favorite. Go on." But even the thought of it now makes you feel ill, doesn't it? And if you were to eat it, you probably would be ill. Now, this is the nature of this material world. That, we're only able to stomach so much of the so-called bliss of this material world. And then that same thing that produced blissfulness now produces misery. And like everything, isn't it? Like everything. And even that person that you love so much, adored with all your heart, they died, you can't bear to be in the same room with them now for even 5 minutes, isn't it? Get them out of here. You don't love that anymore, that body. It's just this material world, nothing lasts. Nothing. And actually, what is the bliss of this material world? It is just a temporary relief from suffering, actually. I don't want to bang on about how much suffering there is in the material world. We all know that. Everybody knows that. But, when you have your 2 weeks holiday, on the Yorkshire Dales or wherever it is that you go, on the Costa Brava or wherever, you have your 2 weeks holiday, which, by the way, is the most stressful thing. When measured, that's the most stressful thing that people experience is a holiday. They get so stressed by going on holiday because they want it to be perfect. But even if you have a perfect holiday, after 2 weeks, you come back, that's terrible, isn't it? Once upon a time, I used to work for local government, and I looked after some people. They were my clients, if you like, and they were suffering people. And one lady that I looked after, she lived in a 13th story tower block in Woolwich. And I don't know if any of you know Woolwich, but it's not the loveliest place in the world. And her daughter and family took her on a lovely holiday somewhere abroad. She had a lovely 2 weeks, and she came back off her holiday, and she went to her 13th floor council flat in Woolwich, opened the window and threw herself out as soon as she got home. Couldn't bear coming back to that. So this is happiness in the material world. Of course, it's extreme. Most of us don't go quite that far. Most of us settle for something, but it's very short of Ananda. But we are heir to Ananda. The nature of our soul is that it should be filled with Ananda. Yes, Sat. Yes, Chit. But Ananda, we are in trouble. We're not getting Ananda. But we can, because Anandam is the food of the soul. This expression I heard from Guru Maharaj. Anandam is the food of the soul. The soul needs food. Just like our body needs food, the soul also needs food. But where do we find that food? Our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, as soon as your body shows some sign of illness, immediately you head to the doctor, or you open up or nowadays you Google the symptoms and try and find some remedy for it, isn't it? But as soon as we feel some discomfort in our body, some illness or something, we try and find some remedy for that, some cure for that. But because we cannot perceive the soul, then we think everything's fine. We don't need to do anything. But believe me, that's not true. Just because you're not aware of it, doesn't mean that your soul is in good health. Of course, ultimately the soul is not touched by matter, but the soul can be covered by matter. And that's Maya. Maya covers us with matter. So, maybe some of you have read the book by Oscar Wilde. It's called A Picture of Dorian Gray. If you haven't, it's well worth reading. Dorian Gray is a fictitious character, but in this, due to some type of magical alchemy, he's able to transfer his inner soul into a picture, a painting of himself. And as a result of that, he never gets any older than that day. He never gets old, he never gets disease, he never gets, he just because all of that goes into his picture, his portrait, his painting of him. And he carries on in his life and begins to do all types of atrocious things in the course of his life. But he never changes. But eventually his picture, that painting of himself, becomes so ugly and so foul that he has to cover it with a cloth and move it to his attic because he can't bear to look at it anymore. And basically that picture becomes the portrait of his corrupted soul, his diseased soul, if you like. So we don't have that luxury, if you like. But we shouldn't think that our soul is in tip-top shape. It's corrupted. It's covered by Maya. And every sinful thing that we've done is covering our soul like a disease. And believe me, that's the case for every one of us. But we're unaware of it. And we're preoccupied with all the things that about our own body and related to our body and our family and our community and everything so much that we forgot about our internal person, our internal life, who actually we are. We've forgotten that. And we're just involved with external things. Maya. And so much so that we don't have time for spiritual life. I saw, sometimes you see these things posted on social media, and it says like 10 activities of successful people. These are 10 things that successful people do in life. And one of those 10 is meditation. So they all do some meditation. But what kind of meditation and how much meditation? So they say the optimum amount of meditation per day, 7 minutes. Don't need to do any more than that, just 7 minutes a day. So you'd have to say, maybe the ancient rishis of India would disagree with that they dedicated their whole life to meditation. Not just 7 minutes a day, 24 hours a day, every day. And in the Satya Yuga, when that was the Dharma, that was for thousands of years. The average lifespan, apparently, in Satya Yuga was 3,000 years. People lived 3,000 years. And all of that time they utilized for self-realization, for meditation. There wasn't even marriage in the Satya Yuga, so no families or anything. The progeny was produced by certain people called Prajapatis. They made the progeny, but there wasn't family as such. And as soon as somebody was, mature enough, off they went to meditate for the next 3,000 years. So, and we're thinking, that I did 7 minutes meditation today, I'm going to be a successful person. So, of course, it isn't practical in the current age. If we're able to sit down and chant our japa for 2 hours, we're really thinking we're advanced in spiritual life, isn't it? What to speak of 7 minutes. So, but we have to do something. When I was young, before I was married, before I had children, before I had any of these responsibilities, for some time I lived in India. And Guru Maharaj would send us for canvassing donations in Calcutta. Calcutta's a difficult enough place at the best of times, but now you're trying to get an interview with the owner of some business, and they've always got a man or a woman there. Their job is to stop you getting in to meet them. You don't get past them generally if they're doing their job well. But now and again, you meet some good soul who wants to help, and give some donation for the service. Actually, we're not going there for canvassing money. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to try and introduce them to our mission and invite them to join with us. But usually some money, they'll give something to us. And but why am I saying about that? Because almost invariably, when you meet the boss man, and he gives you 20 minutes or half an hour when you can talk with him, and you give your, tell him about the mission, tell him about the chanting of Harinam and all of these things, little spiel as best as we can do. Almost invariably, they would always say, I have no time for spiritual life. I have no time. They'd say, Ami Bishayi. I'm just an enjoyer, and my life is just spent making money, and I don't have time for spiritual life. But I'm happy if I can help you like this. And being young and free and with no responsibilities in the world in those days, I used to think, why are they always saying they have no time? That's just an excuse. Of course there's time. But now, with a family of my own and all these responsibilities and everything, now I think, I don't have any time for spiritual life. Because there's so many things you have to do just to get by day by day, just to put food on the table, roof over the head, all of these things. We're all familiar with that. But still, they also say, where there's a will, there's a way. So it depends on your priority. What's your priority in life? And if your priority is just, putting the food on the table, the roof over the head, getting in that rat race, if you like. They call it the rat race, isn't it? Why? Because that's what they do. They put rats in a track. It's like a experiment, right? And they run round this track looking for something to eat, basically, And there's some food at the end, but they're always thinking, just round the corner, just round the corner. This is what people think in the material world. They're thinking, satisfaction's just round the corner, Tomorrow I'll get. But we know, right? You go to work, they only pay you enough, so you have to come back next week, isn't it? They never pay you enough that you can say, okay, thanks very much, I've got enough now, I don't need any more. No, you have to go back next week, because there's just enough to keep you going. That's how it works, right? So we're always thinking, just round the corner, just round the corner, just round the corner. Just over the next hill, just over the horizon, there we'll find some satisfaction. But we don't find satisfaction. We're all caught up in that, and we don't have time for our own spiritual welfare. So we need to make some time for ourselves, for that spiritual process. Just recently, somebody took initiation in our temple from Madhusudan Maharaj, and he told her, so chant 16 rounds every day, but never less than 4. But 16 rounds a day, that is very good. And she said, where will I find the time to chant 16 rounds every day? And he said, just sleep a couple of hours less. Then you can do. So, it depends what you want in life, isn't it? I've noticed this, that if your boss says, I need you in tomorrow by 4 a.m., you say, yes, boss, I'll be there, and you make the arrangement, and you're there, aren't you? But if your guru says, I need you to be up at 4 to chant 16 rounds in the morning, I can't do that. I need to sleep. Money is a big incentive, isn't it? For money, we'll do it. But otherwise, why would I do that? So again, it depends on what is your priority. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we have to try and make a way. And that's down to each one of us individually. We can't say, there's not enough hours in the day. There's not, we find enough hours to watch our favorite TV shows. We find enough hours to eat. We find enough, all the things we think we need to do, we find the time to do that, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada's secretary, for many years, his name was Hari Suridas, and Prabhupada told him, this chant 16 rounds, very easy, right? In the morning, before breakfast, chant 4 rounds, half an hour. And before lunch, chant 4 rounds. And before your dinner, chant 4 rounds. And then before you go to bed, chant 4 rounds. 16 rounds, easy. That was his advice, right, to Hari Suri. That's an easy way to do it. Just you're going to make time for your lunch, aren't you? So, then half an hour before your lunch, chant 4 rounds. Or, find a way to do it. And you'll find that your life changes because of that. Your perception of the world changes because of that. Because you're giving time for that. More or less, time is the essence of our life, isn't it? You go somewhere and, for some boring business seminar or something like that, and you come out and everybody says, that's 2 hours of my life I'm never getting back, isn't it? But and everyone laughs. But every day is 24 hours of your life that you're not getting back. That's the reality. You can never get it back. So, what will you do with your time? How will you utilize your time? Make time for what's important to you. Really, it's a little bit of off on a tangent, but it comes to my mind, right? That in India, in our temple in India, everybody, in Navadvip, there are many motts around Navadvip, many. And all of those motts, they're all publishing books and, like that. So, but everyone knows that Chaitanya Saraswat Mott, they make the best books, best quality books. So, back in the 90s, we published in Bengali Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, and hardback, small blue book, and very nice book. You can buy Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat in any mott, but you won't get that quality. So one man came there with his family. That time I was, like as we do when we're in India sometimes, you take a turn in the book room, isn't it, So I was in the book room, and this man came, and he wants to buy Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he's so happy to get this, And it costs a little more than perhaps in the other motts, but he's so happy, the quality, everything, so happy. And he told me, we've been saving for this book. And even in India, the prices aren't like the prices here. They're reduced price, right? Because that was Guru Maharaj, Gurudev's rule. If you publish any book in the West, at least 1/3 of those books must go to India, and no price, if you like, other than to cover the cost. But generally, when devotees published those books, they gave them all without any cost, without charging anything as to the mool mott. So then for a few rupees they can buy those books, the local people. So this man had come there, he's got the book, he's holding it to his heart, he's overjoyed that he's got book. And he told me, we've been saving for this book. And I said, oh really? And he said, yes. The last week, my wife and I and our 2 children, we have fasted the whole week so that we didn't have to spend the money on food, so that we can buy this book. They were poor people. So, rather than eating for a week, they saved that money they would spend on food to buy Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is people who appreciate the value of such things. Over here, we're so spoiled over here. When we publish a book, the first thing devotees say is, devotee price? Can we get devotee price? I always tell them this story when they ask for devotee price. I say, yeah, devotee price means you fast for a whole week and you give that money for the book. This is devotee price. They're expecting some discount. But really it's the other way around. So my point is, though, that what's important to you, that we have to think. Every day living is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is your inner life, your spiritual life, and how to improve your spiritual life. This is important. And so we have to give our time and our energy for that. If we're really serious about spiritual life. And that also means in the service life, because service is integral to spiritual life. Seva. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. So he says to Arjuna, if you want to know the truth, you have to approach a spiritual master. And they will be able to enlighten you or connect you with the truth. And when we say the truth, we mean the plane of reality. Why? Because they're connected with that plane. So through their connection with that plane, they can connect you to that plane. But you have to approach in the proper way. And that is pranipat, pariprashna, and sevaya. So pranipat means exclusive regard. That I've come to you because I'm finished with the prospect of this material world. Okay, the fact of the matter is that by our obligations in this world and by our habit, we're addicted to the material world. So we can say with our hand on our heart, there's nothing I want in this material world. But underlying that, we have to understand, but we are addicted to the things of this material world at the same time. We may not want them, but we're addicted to them. We're already caught by them. We're in the spider's web. Gurudev told us, once two sadhus, they're walking on the banks of the river in the winter time. It was very cold. And one of the sadhus said, look, in the river, there's a blanket floating down the river. If I swim out and get that blanket, once it's dry, we can be warm with the blanket. So, okay, he dives into the river and he swims across to the blanket and he grabs the blanket. But, lo and behold, the blanket grabs him, because it's not a blanket at all, it's a bear. And which he mistook to be a blanket. And the bear grabbed him. And then, meanwhile, his friend on the bank saying, brother, leave it. Just come back, You can see that he's struggling there. Just leave it and come back. And he says, I'm trying to leave it, but it won't leave me. Because the bear's got hold of him. So, that's what it's like in this material world. We're trying to find that blanket or whatever it is to give us some shelter here in the material world, keep us warm at night, whatever it is. But it won't let us go. So we may want to leave the world, but the world isn't so easy to leave us alone. Once the claws are into us, it won't just leave us. So that's a given for everyone. But it doesn't mean when we come to our Gurudev that we don't say to that sadhu, there's nothing in this material world that I want anymore. And really that should be the prerequisite. I'm finished with the prospect of this material world. I really don't believe that I'll find satisfaction or fulfillment here. And I believe that the path to fulfillment is the path of Krishna consciousness. This is what pranipat means. It doesn't mean that, you just say like hitch your star to somebody else's wagon. You're the one for me. You're the greatest sadhu. And I'm giving myself to you, and everyone else can go to hell. No, it's talking about the creed. I've accepted this creed, these teachings as all in all. I really believe that. Not that, this week I want to practice Krishna consciousness, next week I'm off for a retreat, a Zen Buddhist retreat, or, whatever it may be. Not that. We're not spiritual tourists, looking for something here, there, and everywhere. A bit from here, a bit from there, make a nice little kitchery for ourselves. No, rather, we have some exclusive regard for this path, for the path of truth as taught by Lord Krishna. We consider this to be the highest of all, the best of all. And who feels that can come to the feet of the sadhu and say, this is my desire. I want this. Whether I'm addicted to that or not, to the other things, whether I'm able to leave those things or not, what I really want is this. This is called pranipat. And then the next criteria is pariprashna. Pariprashna means proper inquiry. So not like just to satisfy your curiosity, with every question under the sun. In a sense, once one comes to the feet of the spiritual master, all of those questions should have already been disposed of. Once one of our godbrothers, he was a sannyasi, and he asked Guru Maharaj, "Can you tell us what is the nature of the soul?" And Guru Maharaj's reply was, "It's a bit late for that, isn't it?" You understand? So, then when you come to the sadhu, some things you should have already concluded. And, we're not to just bombard the spiritual master with questions. And sometimes Guru Maharaj would say, "I'm not an inquiry booth." So what should be the nature of our inquiry? It should be, I'm in darkness, how do I come to the light? I'm in ignorance, how do I come to enlightenment? I am suffering, how do I come to the plane of Ananda? That's the question. These are the questions, and it's common to everybody. And what is the method for that? These are the things that we should be inquiring from a spiritual master. And some urgency is necessary there. It's told in the scripture that one should approach the spiritual master as if his head is on fire, and that the spiritual master is like the river that he can put it out. If your head's on fire, you're running to water, aren't you? That's your main idea. So if you can have that kind of intensity, that kind of necessity, I need that in my life to that degree, then whatever it takes, pariprashna, what do I do to come to that plane? And last but not least, sevaya, service. A spiritual master doesn't require our service. Krishna doesn't require our service. Krishna lives in Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan he has everything that he could desire. You can say, "Oh, I'm a very good cook, I can cook something for Krishna." Hold on a minute. Krishna's cook is Mother Jashoda. You think you can cook better than her? Krishna's cook is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, when she was a small girl, she was blessed by Devashis Muni that whatever this girl cooks will taste of ecstasy. When Jashoda Mai heard that, she said to Kirtida, the mother of Radharani, "Can she come every day and cook something for my boy?" Kirtida was happy. And this is actually how their relationship began, with Radha and Krishna. You can say, of course, their relationship is eternal, but from the point of view of like chronology, it began like this, and this is where, unknowingly or unknowingly, it says the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. This is a fact. So, and maybe things have changed now, but it used to be, of course, not so long ago, and maybe still in some communities, where they have arranged marriage, right? Where the boy comes to meet the girl for the first time. Usually, she'll show if she can cook or not. If she can cook very nicely, then she's got a good chance. If not, he may look elsewhere. This is a fact, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And this is no different with Krishna. Krishna likes to eat. How much does Krishna like to eat? As Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, that's all he does, basically, is eat. 56 offerings a day. And each offering, chapan bhoga offering, every, and offerings in between the main offerings. The whole families, that's all they do, is they cook for Lord Jagannath. And Krishna has such capacity that he can eat and never feel ill, and never get sick, and never get bloated, and never get too full up. That's Krishna. He loves to eat. But what does Krishna eat? Krishna eats the love of his devotee. And this is illustrated when Krishna came to visit Vidura in Hastinapur. He came to the house of Vidura. And when he arrived, Vidura wasn't home. But Vidura's wife was home. Vidura's a Brahmin, and although he's like part of the royal retinue, he was a poor man, as Brahmins often are. So, when he came there, the cupboard was bare. So, but Krishna came, so that then Vidura's wife, you can imagine, right? If Krishna comes to your house, you have to give him something, isn't it? And she was completely flustered. Suddenly Krishna's at your door, you would be. And so she looked, and all she could find was a bunch of bananas. So she wants to feed Krishna with the bananas, but because she's so flustered by the very fact that Krishna is there in her house, that she peeled the bananas and fed Krishna the banana skin and threw away the fruit. And Krishna's eating those banana peel, eating that, and then Vidura came home, and he's not alone. Then it says Vyasadeva was with him, and many other, important people with him. And when he came, he saw the scene. There's Krishna sitting, and his wife giving him banana peels, and Vidura's like, "Oh my God! Like, what are you doing? Stop! You're throwing away the banana and giving him the peel. You're crazy woman. What are you doing?" He's chastising like this, and Krishna says, "Be peaceful, Vidura. I am not eating banana or banana peel, but I am eating her love. What she is offering with me with her full heart, that I'm accepting. Not banana peel. It doesn't matter." In South India, there's a very famous temple of Krishna called Tirupati. And there, the Krishna manifests as Balaji. And many people, like thousands of people, go to have his darshan every day. And one of the things that you can do there is you can offer your weight in something as an offering to the Lord. So you can offer your weight in flowers, you can offer your weight in fruit, you can offer your weight in gold, whatever it may be. And people do this, right? And it's told that if you offer your weight in any of these things, that the Lord will grant any of your desire. Anything you wish for, he'll grant it. And so people go for that, and they want, whatever it is they want, health and wealth and a cottage by the sea, Om Jai Jagadisha Hari. Whatever it is, they want that. But actually they're missing a great opportunity there. When Dhruva Maharaj, he's a little boy, right? 9 years old boy. His mother, she's the queen, but she's not the favorite queen. And the other queen is the favorite. So because the other queen is the favorite, Dhruva can't sit on his father's lap. Only the other queen's boy can sit on his father's lap. And Dhruva gets so upset by that, that he says to his mother, "What can I do?" And his mother says, "Meditate on Lord Vishnu, he'll grant your desire." So he goes to the forest, and there he meets Narad. And Narad tells him how to worship the Lord to achieve his desire. And so Dhruva does that, like great austerity that a 9-year-old boy could never do. today that a full-grown man could never do, controlling his breath and so many things he's doing. And finally, the Lord appeared before him. And when he sees the Lord, and what's his desire? His desire is, I want my own kingdom, so that I can be the king, and then I can say who can sit on whose knee. It's basically his thinking like that. And the Lord will give me that if I satisfy him. But when he sees the Lord, when the Lord finally appears before him, he's completely dumbfounded. He doesn't know what to say, he doesn't know what to do. The Lord touches him on the forehead with his conch. And then immediately all of these wonderful prayers come from Dhruva. But what's the essence of that is Dhruva says, I was searching after glass, after broken glass, and now I found a gem, a real gem. And all those things that I wanted, my desires that I wanted to bring before you, feel foolish now, like crazy, because there's nothing in this world that can equal the grace of the Lord. Nothing at all. So although the Lord does grant him those things that he wanted, but he doesn't care about that anymore. Now he's seen the Lord. None of that's important to him. So you don't have to go to Tirupati and offer your weight in gold or your weight in bananas or your weight in flowers or any of those things. And if you do, what will you get as a reward for that? But what does Krishna say in the Gita? If you offer me a fruit, a flower, a leaf, some water from your heart, I'll accept that. That's like the most simple thing, isn't it? You can walk out into the garden and find almost all of those things. Fruit, flower, water, leaf. If you offer them to me with your heart, I'll accept that. So this is what Krishna's interested in, actually. Guru Maharaj said, Krishna is a collector of hearts. He wants the heart of his devotee. That's all. That's all he wants. And of course we say, oh, that's not very much. But when you think about it, that's everything. Because currently our heart is somewhere else, isn't it? Our heart is wherever it may be. Our heart is coveting all these things. Our heart is coveting the next, like on our latest post on Facebook or whatever it is. That's what we're coveting. People wake up in the middle of the night to check their state. I've got some more likes. This is just one silly example. But our heart it wants something else than Krishna. That's the whole problem. So how do we solve that problem? Through association. Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha is the most necessary thing. Sadhu Sangha is born of Shraddha, faith. And faith is born of good fortune. This is called Sukriti. Sukriti. Not the fortune of piety, punya, not that fortune. But Sukriti means divine grace. Known or unknown. If we can get the grace of Krishna's devotee, then Sukriti develops in our heart. And when Sukriti reaches a particular stage, Sukriti becomes Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. And when one has faith in Krishna, in Gita, in all of the holy things, then they search out the sadhu. Birds of a feather flock together. We see that everywhere, right? If you're interested in anything, maybe you're interested in model trains or something, then what do you seek out where they have a meeting of people that like model trains. And you join the Model Train Appreciation Club or whatever it is. And every Friday night you go there and talk about the latest engines and locomotives and all the things that are available. Whatever it might be. Maybe it's, your local football team or something, and you join the supporters, you understand. Birds of a feather flock together. So those people who are actually interested in Krishna consciousness, Krishna-loving people, they seek out other Krishna-loving people. They want to associate with them. And really, I tell you, I've been trying to practice Krishna consciousness for over 40 years now, and I've yet to meet more wonderful people than the devotees of Krishna. It's not to say that everyone is perfect or anything like that. Everyone has their nature, everyone has their flaws, but the devotees of Krishna, they're the best people in the world. And really, that's my experience. Wherever I go in the world, it's the same. When you're with the devotees of the Lord, you feel like you're at home, wherever you are. Physically, wherever you may be. When you're with the devotees, you're at home. And those devotees, they're interested in serving Krishna. Those devotees are interested in giving themselves to Krishna. And by their association, that rubs off on you also. You start to feel like maybe I should give myself to Krishna. How do I give myself to Krishna? Well, let's see, how do they give themselves to Krishna? Maybe I can learn something from them. And when our heart feels that necessity to such a degree, then we want some substantial connection with Krishna. We seek out that sadhu that can give us that. That's called initiation. Begins with initiation. Initiation means to begin. To initiate something means to begin something. So it means now I want to practice spiritual life seriously, properly. That's known as bhajana kriya. So bhajana kriya means that the spiritual master teaches you the path of Krishna consciousness. You have to do this, don't do that, you have to follow this, this sadhana, read these books, don't associate with these people, associate with those kind of people. All of these things together, bhajana kriya. Bhajana kriya, it means now you're serious about spiritual life, or should be. Sometimes we think that it's just a formality, and in a sense it is. Initiation is just a formality, but it's also an essential part of spiritual life. To accept a spiritual master, it's not just a tradition, it's essential to accept a spiritual master. But then what? Our Gurudev would say, not to just surrender and lie down, but to surrender and serve. To serve the spiritual master and the society of the devotees. So it's like initiation is something like your acceptance letter. If you want to go and study at Oxford or Cambridge or any good university, you apply there, and all the students, when they apply, they're waiting to see if they get accepted or rejected, isn't it? They've maybe applied to 10 different universities or whatever, and they get a letter. And if you're fortunate, right, you're fortunate, then it says, we're pleased to offer you a place at Oxford University to study whatever it is that you study. It's rare. It's rare that you get that. When my daughter was applying to universities, they come, representatives from the different universities, they come. Representatives from Oxford come, and representatives from Cambridge. And basically, if you want to go to there, you've got to be like completely 100% dedicated to that and nothing else. They're not interested if you want to do other things. You have to be like completely sold out to that idea, and they can tell if you are, and those are the people they choose as their students generally. So we know, right? It's not a common thing, you can say. Oxford, Cambridge, or, in America, Harvard, Yale, these schools, So then you get your invitation letter, your acceptance letter. I've been accepted into Oxford, or I've been accepted into Cambridge or Harvard or whatever it is, right? You might be so overjoyed with that you buy a nice frame and put that acceptance letter in the frame, right? Put it on the wall. And then later on, years to come, people say, "Oh, you were accepted at Oxford." Yeah, I was accepted at Oxford. What did you? I didn't go. I didn't go. That was like enough for me. I got the acceptance letter. There it is. You can see. I proved I could do it. That's as much as I needed to do. So, and now what do you do? I work down in Sainsbury's, or not saying that that's the only thing if you don't go, but you can understand the point I'm making, right? So, initiation's like your acceptance letter. You've been accepted to study, as Guru Maharaj said, to study in the school of Vedavyas, to study. Your classmates are Shukadev Goswami, your classmates are Brahma, your classmates are Shiva. These are your classmates. You've been accepted to study there. And what did you do? I didn't bother. I didn't go. Yeah, I got my beads. They're up there on the shelf gathering dust. I've hardly touched them, but I got my name. I'm such and such Das, or I'm such and such Dasi. I didn't actually go. I didn't actually do anything. But there you are. So, but I'm very proud of my acceptance letter. But that's what it means. Initiation means to begin. And then what will you do? Not just surrender and lie down, but surrender and serve. Have to give yourself. Srila Govinda Maharaj, sometimes after giving initiation, he would say, "It is my expectation that from this day onwards you will serve Krishna every day. That's why I'm giving you all of this. You will serve Krishna every day." And why? Does Krishna need that? This is a common thought today, right? That people have this kind of anthropomorphic, mythological thinking, right? That authors like Neil Gaiman and other people like that, their idea is that the gods exist as long as people believe in them. If no one believes in them, they don't exist anymore. This is like they're created by your belief in them. In fact, I even saw one so-called spiritual guru from India. He said something like that. By your faith, an ordinary stone becomes Shiva, becomes Mahadev. No, it's not that. It's not the case at all. It's the other way around. It's not your faith makes the Lord a reality. The Lord is real whether you believe or don't believe. That's irrelevant. So, and he doesn't require our service. He doesn't require our worship. He doesn't require any of those things. All of those things are an opportunity for us. Oxford University doesn't require you to go there to be its student. It doesn't require it. It's got plenty. It's got, like oil sheikhs that are willing to pay thousands of pounds to have their kids go to Oxford University. It doesn't need you, whether you go or not. So similarly, Krishna doesn't require us. He doesn't, but he gives us that opportunity to serve him. Because we require that. As I said at the beginning, that, our in our pure spiritual essence, we are also Satchid Ananda. So Sat and Chit, yes, that's given. We exist and we are conscious of our existence. But just to exist without any purpose, it's a waste. The purpose of our existence is Ananda. The food of the soul is Ananda. So, we're born in nectar, we're born to taste nectar. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be satisfied with anything except nectar. Amrita. Nectar means Amrita. And Amrita means immortality. Guru Maharaj says that if the fly dives into the pot of honey, be attracted by its sweetness, it'll drown there. It'll drown itself. Its wings, everything will be covered in the honey. It won't be able to get out. It'll drown. But if that honey is replaced with amrita, that nectar of immortality, when you fall in just a drop of that, you won't die. You'll rise up. You'll become immortal. Yourself, you'll become immortal. That's why we exist. We don't exist just to revolve in this cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, and again and again and again ad infinitum. That's not why we exist. Krishna didn't make us, if you like, just to revolve in this material world. He made us to taste Anandam. That's our birthright, the birthright of every soul. Anandam, the food of the soul. The soul needs to be fed. So we need to seek out that Anandam. And that Anandam is available actually only in the service of Lord Krishna. Exclusively it's there in the service of Lord Krishna. And that's for everybody. We are all eternal servant of Krishna. Sanatana Goswami asked Mahaprabhu, Ki-ami? He said, who am I? And why am I suffering in this ocean of birth and death? And Mahaprabhu's reply, Jivara Sharupahoy Nityara Krishna Das, Krishnara Tatasta Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. And not just Sanatan, but everyone, this reply. This is the eternal truth. You are the eternal servant. You are a jiva soul. Jivara Sharupahoy, the jiva soul, which is you. And its sarup, its form, is the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishnara Nityadas, the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishnara Tatasta Shakti. You are the Tatasta Shakti of Krishna. That means you are his marginal energy. You can adopt yourself to the material world, you can adopt yourself to the spiritual world. Veda Ved Prakash. Veda Ved Prakash means you're one with him. You are the same as him by nature. He is spiritual, you are spiritual. But you are also different from him. Just as the sun and the sun ray are one and the same, but different at the same time. The fire and the spark from the fire, the same and different at the same time. So he is eternally the master, you are eternally the servant. It's not that one day you can become Krishna or Narayan, or that when you leave Maya you can become the Supreme Lord. No, you're eternally connected with Krishna through service. And there you will find your fulfillment. That's why you exist. Guru Maharaj says, you are designed and destined for that. So all we have to do is, wake up to that reality. And how do we do that? By listening to the truth spoken by the servants of the Lord, by Krishna's own, by Krishna's devotee. The teachings of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, and percolated through the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Dev, Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, appeared in this age as his own devotee. He has come to teach us how to be a servant of Krishna. And with an extra bonus, that he doesn't consider who's fit or unfit. If you want it, you can have it. That's the extra bonus. Krishna says, right, in Gita, Sarvadharmam parityaja. Surrender to me. Give up all of your dharmas that you think is your dharma and just surrender to me and you'll come to me. But Mahaprabhu doesn't even make that stipulation. He doesn't say, first surrender and then you can receive this. No, take it. You want it, take it. And we can talk about surrender later on. But that gift of Krishna Prema, you can have that now. Krishna didn't give that. Rupa Goswami, he writes in his prayer, Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. That you have come to give what no other avatar has ever given before, Krishna Prema. It's true, when Krishna came, he showed his Vrindavan Leela, but in a closed group. He didn't make a display for everybody to see. It's a closed group. It's there in Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's locked in there in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's no mention of it in Mahabharata. There's no mention. The only mention in Mahabharata of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela is when Draupadi, in her Bastraharana, when she calls to Krishna, "Hey, Gopi Jana Ballabha." As Guru Maharaj said, then when Krishna heard Gopi Jana Ballabha, he couldn't resist. He had to come to protect her. This is the only mention in Mahabharata of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. A few allusions to it here and there, but no detail. And what Krishna showed was in a closed group. But Mahaprabhu, he's come and broken that open. He's broken the gate there, broken the lock, and that very thing that Krishna showed, he's distributing that to everybody. Guru Maharaj said, distributing nectar like it was water. This is Mahaprabhu. Krishna himself, but with the mood of Odarja, means distribution, magnanimity, to save everybody. This is Mahaprabhu. And if you give your attention to him and to his Leela, if you study Chaitanya Charitamrita, then, Guru Maharaj says, then you will find that one day you will wake up in the realm of Vrindavan, without even having to make any kind of extraneous endeavor for that. Automatically you'll get that if you get Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu's Leela, very safe to hear about that. Very safe, very solid, and very wonderful. In Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, in Srimad Bhagavatam, you have to be very careful. Only when you approach that, in case you mistake it for something else, something mundane. There's all kinds of offenses you can make when you contemplate the Leela of Krishna in Vrindavan, especially his Madhura Leela. But Mahaprabhu, there are no offenses. There's so much so that Vrindavan Das Thakur, he said that you can take the name of Krishna lifetimes after lifetimes and not get Krishna Prema. But if once you call out the names Gaura Nityananda, then that Krishna Prema will come looking for you. This is the difference, you can say, if there's any difference. Then we can give our attention there. We can give our attention to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Dev, Mahaprabhu. It is everything. Once when our brahmacharis, two brahmacharis from our mission in South Africa, they came to see Srila Govinda Maharaj in Navadvip. In South Africa particularly, many of the African countries, most of our devotees there of Indian origin. Because there's lots of Indian people who went to live in Africa at one stage or another. Many Hindus. So there's not many white devotees in South Africa. A few, but not many. So then they came and they're giving report to Govinda Maharaj of their preaching. Every Saturday we have a big pandal program. At least 300 people come every week. Oh, very good, very good. And Gurudev said, and what is your preaching matter? What are you telling them? And they say, well, we are telling them about Krishna, we are telling them about Ram. They don't know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so we are not saying anything about him. But we are telling about Krishna, we are telling about Ram. They're very happy, and our program is very successful. So they're thinking Gurudev would say, oh, very, very good. But rather, Gurudev said, I can never support that. We are followers, disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And wherever we go, we have to teach about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They may or may not know, but your job, your duty is to inform them about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And why is that so important? Again, not Krishnadas Kaviraj, Vrindavan Das Thakur has given us the answer. Think about this. It's a very deep point, and not everyone will understand. But he says, in this Kali Yuga, who worships Radha and Krishna, but do not embrace the lotus feet of Gaur Nityananda, they make only evil in the world. Now, this is a heavy point. So then it's necessary. Mahaprabhu is the Messiah of Kali Yuga. He came to give the highest thing. Anarpita chirim chirat krone avartina kalo samarpayitamanu jala rasam sabhakti shriyam. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, you have come to give what has never been given before. Anarpita chirim chirat. That means that thing which was never given before by anyone, not by Krishna, not by Ramchandra, Krishna Prema. That is only given by Mahaprabhu. And he has given that freely to everyone. So this needs to be understood properly, deeply, and preached to everybody. Who is Chaitanya Dev? Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What is his teaching? What is his mission? What is his message? We are all followers of that. We are all the beneficiaries of that, isn't it? Otherwise it's a closed group, or again, like in South Africa. Then everyone would just be Hindus here. Wouldn't be any white boys and girls. Because Mahaprabhu didn't come just to preach Hinduism. He came to give that which is Jaiva Dharma. Sometimes people say Sanatan Dharma, right? The eternal Dharma. But we like Jaiva Dharma. Because Jaiva Dharma means the religion of the soul. It doesn't matter where you've come from, what your background is, what your culture is, what anything. None of that's important. What's important is your soul. And that's the same for everyone. The soul is not like Hindus have one type of soul and Muslims have another type of soul and Christians have another type of soul. Or, white people have one type of soul and black people have... The soul is the soul. The body is just the external covering. Then what's the religion of the soul? The religion of the soul is service to Sri Krishna. And that is for everyone. That's the meaning of real eternal religion. Above all external considerations. And all external considerations, they disappear in that conception. Guru Maharaj would say, even in your society you must have some rules and regulations, but not so much that they stifle the devotion of the followers. So he said, why the necessity for so much formality? We are all Mahaprabhu's men. Then that's our conception. Mahaprabhu has come to rescue everyone. He is Krishna himself. He's not just the avatar of Krishna for Kali Yuga. He is Krishna himself. That Nanda Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj, who is Shama Sundar, covered by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Shama Sundar now become Gaura Sundar. And Gaurasundar is Krishna as Krishna's devotee. You see how wonderful is devotion to Krishna, that even Krishna himself becomes converted to a devotee of Krishna. Only devotion can do that. And he has come to teach that and give that to everybody without discrimination. Only you have to step up and say, I want it. And even if you run away and say you don't want it, there's Nityananda Prabhu will be after you. You've got to have it. I insist, you must have it. So all bases covered. Then take it. Take it. You know, like you see on the television, especially in America, right? They have that when they have the, Black Friday sales? All the people outside the, they want to get that television for 99 cents or whatever it is. And they'll kill each other for it. They do. They fight as they go through the door and people get trampled, everything like that. If they were waiting to receive Krishna Prema, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? If that's what they were waiting for. But don't think that it's not available. It is. It's just, there are not so many people in the queue right now. They're not. That's good for us. Let's get to the front of the queue and take it. Accept it. And, your life will be wonderful as a result of that. Who has that? Guru Maharaj says, is it a madman's proposal? That we say, by getting one thing, you get everything. By knowing one thing, you know everything. That's what we're proposing. If you get Krishna, you get everything. If you know Krishna, you know everything. That's our proposal. Simple. We want that. We're anxious for that. We're hungry for that. Nothing's going to get in our way of that. We're not going to let anything out. No other consideration is going to prevent us from getting that. Only our own self will stop us from getting that. We're our own worst enemy. But Krishna is a thief, and a thief doesn't need any invitation. When he desires, he'll come. Guru Maharaj said, Julius Caesar, he said, Veni vidi vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. So then Krishna's like that. He comes, he sees, he takes possession. Just a little bit. If you make a little bit effort towards him, then he'll come. And when Krishna comes to live in your heart, no one else can live there. Nothing else can live there. Just like when the sun rises, the darkness can't stay any longer. Now that's Krishna consciousness. And that's available to everybody just by taking Krishna's holy name. Krishna's holy name is so wonderful. Non-different from Krishna. Krishna as his name form. And Rupa Goswami says Krishna's name and Krishna himself are identical, the same. But if there is any difference, it is that the name of Krishna is even more merciful than Krishna. Because although we may make offense to Krishna, finally, the holy name will free us from those offenses. Just like when we are trying to walk and we fall down on the ground itself is what gives us our support to get up and try again. So although we may try and fail to worship Krishna through his holy name, by the power of the holy name we can get up and try again. And eventually we'll get that. Today or tomorrow. Guru Maharaj says, today or tomorrow you must get that, if you are sincere. So just let's be sincere. We can finish there today. Jam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Devashis prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Radhika? Is Radhika?
Radhika. Bala.
I am living from the Southall.
Southall. Okay, not far. Good. I have to go for a wee.
My leg work. They weren't listening, Mr. I'm saying seriously. No. And we need you. I told you. I know. It doesn't matter. I told him I trust I was wrong. And the other is okay. Face to face is good. I'm much preferred. Yeah. Isn't it the ocean's heart? Go on. I owe you one. Very nice class. Jai Sabaka
Hi. Hare Krishna. You come up with Jagannath?
I did, yeah. I was inspired by Raghunath Das. The last of, never mind, we're going to have, isn't it? Yeah, that's it, I'm going. But I will be back. They're all very busy in so many things. Yes, okay, and I didn't even know you were doing, I saw online you were talking today. I didn't know that till after I had me back. So it was a double bonus.
Yeah.
To see you and also Ishanuga lovely, so maybe I can come over to before I go back, whenever I leave, to the Greenstrasse.
Jai. Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaura Bhatta Vrinda Jai.